I wish I could be serving you tea right.
Perfect. I would like that very much.
I love the new dojo space. Uh, it looks so clean, so perfect, and you're so well lit within that space. Many people might swear, myself included, that it's green screen. It just looks too perfect.
You can draw your own conclusion.
So you were telling me earlier that the screens come from the temple, the mats come from the dojo, the Zen circle is your first that you've done, and there's a really special Easter egg sword tucked
Yes,
away on the side.
correct. That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have a minimalist aesthetic. Um,
Yeah.
oh, hang
Related to
on.
mine,
Hang
Kichigaki,
on.
right?
Hang on. Sorry. Oh my God. Oh my God.
This is all gonna go into the interview. This is my Uncle Ray. While you're doing that, I'm gonna make sure my phone doesn't do that.
What's that?
I'm just admiring your dojo still.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have a minimalist aesthetic and I like things uh, purposeful and well executed.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so this is what it looks like. And, yeah, it's a small space. It cannot handle a lot of people. I mean, we can have like maybe four people tops here doing movement, and then like maybe I could fit eight people in here meditating.
So that's maybe what, 300, 400 square feet?
About that. So it's the tatami space is eight tatamis. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a very traditional thing, huh? Measuring the floor by how many tatamis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Uh,
if I'm not mistaken, that's a really nice space that you've curated within a really, really nice space too. Could you tell us more about that?
yes. Yes. So this dojo is actually located in a five-star hotel in Hawaii called Halekulani. And
Hmm.
this is the first dojo in a five-star hotel in the world.
Wow. All right. I I've done 5 star like Shangri-La. Have you seen that 5 star train?
I've been to the Shangri-La in the Philippines.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's one in Thailand, there's one in Hong Kong, they're all over the place. Um, I don't think they have Kung Fu Studio. That's
Yeah,
what I think of.
yeah. So this is um this is unprecedented. I'll use that word.
Mhm.
How it came to be was last June 2025. I was here at the hotel because they have an art gallery, and I went up to the concierge to ask who the curator of the gallery is because I thought that one of my pieces could be part of a show. And the concierge asked if I was a local artist. I said yes. He asked if I had a website. I said yes. We pulled it up there, then and there. And this is when I had just completed Portal. And so I shared pictures and videos of Portal, and he was blown away. And he gave me some key contact. He gave me a key contact, and he also personally emailed the contact as well. And so from there, I sent an email, introduced myself, um, and fast forward a little bit, I hosted um, several teams from the hotel at the temple to showcase Portal as well as all my work. And it just blew it from there, where it started off as an art thing. And then they asked, what is your connection to the temple? Then I told them about the martial arts thing. And then the connection between my art and martial arts and what else I can do. And I pretty much opened up my entire world to them. And they responded by saying, great, we'll take it all. And so I ended up having a solo show here at the gallery from March 15th to May 31st. So we just took down that exhibition in the beginning of June.
Uh-huh.
And we also built this dojo, and I did a series of workshops and talks through the whole span. So it was somewhat of a residency. And so now the dojo is still around. So this dojo will be around till August 31st of 2026.
Wow. So you still have another month and change then, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That much work and intention for something relatively transient, because allow me to get this thought out. I know how much intention you put into your work, and I know that every line drawn, every nail, every cut, there's 100 prayers that go along with it. And so I know the intent and the ritual that goes into what you create. And then to know that it's going to be so short lived. I mean, the art show's already gone, the dojo is going to be broken down very soon. It reminds me of Tibetan sand art,
Mm.
where such high level skill, such intention, such precision, such high level artistry. Oh, okay, done. Bye.
Yes, yes. I that's it's the way things are, and I'm okay with that. And it is surreal. It is surreal to be here. It I continue to use that word surreal because from the very beginning, from when the project was greenlit to when we're building it to when we were in it, it it just I don't have words for it other than surreal because these things I've been doing for decades. It's nothing different. I'm still sharing my training. I'm sharing my insights. But like the ways that I'm doing it now bring me to places like this.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so it sparked a lot of curiosity in many communities, right? Or where one over here, where because they have a well-being program which goes through the spa, and that's what this is a part of. And so to 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 really articulate and share how a martial artist fits in all this, that was really fun because the way I say it is like I'm a martial artist, but you don't need to be a martial artist to benefit from my offerings. And the focus of all my offerings is well-being and vitality. That's the entry gate. That's the first attainment. And then from there, we can do a lot of things, but that's primary. And so, yeah, and I got to share so many things in so many ways, and here I am.
Yee. Right on, man. Well, can I can I ask to see the fourth wall? Is that possible? Can we get a 360?
Yeah, so
Just to prove that it's not a green screen.
this is there's outside, that's the rest of the hotel.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. And that's all natural light. That's why you're so well
Mhm.
lit.
There's the edge there. That's as much as my computer will rotate because of the wires and
Uh-huh.
whatnot.
Oh, right on, man.
Yeah,
Yee, that's
yeah,
really cozy.
yeah.
It it reminds me of course, nowhere near the scale, but the size of it. I was able to kind of figure out the square footage because my first dojo was only 400 square feet, and we could only fit 4 or 5 people in it for movement, maybe 10 for seated.
Yeah,
And then when everybody cleared out, we could put up a treatment table, right?
yeah, yeah.
And also just very, very minimal. And my wife and I had our studio that we lived up above upstairs. And so it was like the perfect little edge of Chinatown, right down the street from where Bruce Lee started.
I love it.
Yeah, that was our little dojo, our sweet spot. Did you ever see it? Little 2015?
No, so I saw pictures of it. You sent me pictures of it. I've never been there personally.
Mm. Yeah, it was short-lived. We only did it for like a year and a half, and then Oakland had this crazy commercial real estate boom. At any rate, uh, well, so you're currently in this really nice hotel. Where is the hotel?
So the hotel's in Honolulu, Hawaii. It's in Waikiki, which is the tourist area, and it's beachfront.
Oh, that's why it's just hop, skip, and a jump for you.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. And so um, it's I don't know how to say this, but like it is a special place to be here. It's like so the beachfront, all of that, the five-starness is all good. And I'm very grateful for all of that. And I enjoy all those things. But
Mhm.
it's also there are things about this place that are very special, very sacred. So for instance, like on top of there's the wooden sword in the bottom is a handmade Tengu sword, which represents me and my trainings in my school. The branch on top of it comes from a thornless Keave tree downstairs by the beachfront. And what happened is a week before we started this project, there was a huge windstorm and it blew some branches off. And it's common practice for the hotel to not ever throw away uh, anything that comes off the tree because it's a very rare tree.
Oh yeah,
And so
Keave is.
they invited. So Keave is, but then also a thornless Keave is rare.
Uh-huh.
And so there's even a story that goes prior more is my dates might be off, but I believe it was like 2016-ish or something like that, where at that time there was a windstorm and then the tree fell over. And so when the tree fell over, but it continued to grow, so now it looks like a dragon. And so yeah,
Wow. So it's like a
yeah,
bonsai.
yeah. So they invited me to take whatever branches I wanted and needed, and to do to do anything with them, to incorporate it into my work or whatnot. And that little branch called out to me. And the reason why I placed it here on a rack is it represents the relationship, the partnership between myself, my organization, and this organization.
Mm.
So for me, one of the things that is very humbling for me is that the parent company of this hotel is Japanese. And so for for us to be able to build a dojo here with that construct, with that organization, is very special.
Mm. Right on. Is there opportunity to share the vision with other aspects of the organization in the same way how you started as this art exhibit and then now you're in the spa? Like, are there other expressions or avenues available through this work?
Um, at the moment, there's nothing active, but yeah, and then on the other end is the short answer is yes.
Hmm.
Like there's nothing solid.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right. So not all properties have galleries and like that kind of thing. But like now that we've done this, we've built a relationship. We're in their system, so it's like it's easier to flow through their worlds as
For
well.
sure.
It's easier for us to navigate each other's worlds.
Got it. I'm curious to know how it's being received.
Um, it's been well received. So by the organization, it's been very, very well received. We've been very welcomed and supported, and they've opened up their entire resource to promote all of this and to
Wow.
empower us to do our best. Um, we've gotten quite a bit of press. One of the things that's surreal is like we made Vogue magazine. So
What?
yeah, we made Vogue magazine saying that there's this here, right? So
Wow.
that's kind of cool. They like so it's well received in many levels. That's why when you asked me the question, there was a little bit of a pause because I'm like, how do I say this? Because
Uh-huh.
there's all these different layers. And so now, what I like is that we can now have a conversation with a lot of different groups of people that would have not normally looked in the direction of martial arts.
Hmm.
And um, I want to be clear again, I'm a martial artist and I'm not out to perpetuate martial arts or push martial arts. What I am putting effort in being clear about is that everything that I share has been extracted from martial arts because
Hmm.
I am a martial artist.
Hmm.
I want to make that very, very clear. So I've been articulating that as best as I can. And, it's sparked a lot of curiosity and couple that with all the artwork where all my artwork is infused with the gems of my training.
The martial, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so, but then the artwork is not martial itself, right? I'm not painting dragons and tigers or combat scenes or anything like that. And in fact, it's kind of the opposite, really.
Mm.
And the way I say things is that everything that I do is to help me know more about me, to know
Mm.
myself. And then that's what I'm out to help people do as well, is to help people know themselves and to know their relationship to the things they're a part of. That's it.
So,
That's it.
well, I absolutely see you as the warrior in the garden, so to speak, the warrior in MoMA, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather be a warrior in MoMA than a MoMA in warrior. How's that proverb?
I like that. I get it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so the other thing too, as a martial artist, what I can relate to you and being of same kind of inheritance, similar inheritance, you being my uncle and all, I know that our system is principle based. And I know that distinct from style or technique, which could be situational, uh, principle is universal. And the same technique that could
Pause.
be,
Pause.
yeah,
I really need to because this is my mom and I just need to answer her real quick. Sorry.
it's just one of those days.
This is important. This is just important.
For sure.
Okay, continue. Yes, principle based. I'm listening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I apologize. I
And
apologize, but like there's just some things that can't
no
can't
worries, no
pause.
worries. I completely understand. And then so given that the art is principle based, yeah, it works. A punch is a punch, but it's also a throw. It's also a press. It's also massage. It's also a healing. It's also so the way I put on my jacket. You know, a punch isn't limited to just a martial strike. Principally, this movement can generate all sorts of application. And so, what I appreciate about your expression here is that you've taken a very martial practice, Bagua circle walking, devastating footwork, and you put it into circle painting. you know, carpentry and hammering, sawing, right? Tremendously devastating martial application. And here you are crafting a dojo. And so, Kung Fu can kill and it can give life.
Absolutely.
And principally, it's all the same. And so
Yes.
I appreciate what you're doing. And I love that you're breaking the ceiling, so to speak, and creating new worlds for us. You're pioneering a new land and
Yes. Like,
creating a new niche for us as well.
yeah. One of the things that I said that I've been saying is that one of the things that I'm excited about this project is that now I and we have something to point to,
Mhm.
right? And what I mean by this is we can point to this project and we can speak to other martial artists and say, do you know that the origin of all of this is the same as the things that you practice? All of this came from martial arts. And so we can have a dialogue and we can pose more questions like, do you see a clear line from your practice to these kinds of expressions? And if the answer is no, then it's like, okay, just know that there is a clean line. So should you want to explore, there's a lot to explore. So that's what I'm very, very excited about because it's like we can have different types of conversations now. It's not just about like locks and throws anymore. It's not about like who can tap who out anymore. It's like, okay, your technique is good, your school is good, everything about your worlds are good, but how translatable is this to other environments, right? And so then now we can point to this and say, here's an example. Not to say that I or we are better than anybody, it's just saying that there's a possibility that has been realized. And yeah, I've started these conversations already. There's some key martial artists that have come by and shared some very kind and loving words, and at the same time, uh, asked how, and that these are the conversations that I want to engage in because it's like great, I'm glad, and the questioning is how, what's the jump? How did you jump from locks and throws and punches and swords and all that kind of stuff to a five-star hotel putting their name behind this and opening up their resources and to a martial artist. And on top of that, you're not even sharing martial arts. Like you're not pushing any style. You're not saying that it's martial based and so then it's like what there's a lot of things about this that's like very difficult to articulate, and I've been trying to articulate it for decades, but now I have something to point to. So it's like, okay, you see, my practice is very martial. It's like swords and joint locks and throws and forms and all that kind of stuff. But then we end up in a place like this that has a dojo, which is martial, but the offerings are not martial, but the more offerings are not martial. They benefit many, but they were extracted from martial. And people understand that and grabbed onto it and are curious and are engaging.
So, what comes to mind, because I'm a martial artist too, and uh, I have a dojo also, and the nature of opening a dojo, and I thought of this when you said you hosted other guest martial artists. Anybody challenge?
Um,
Because it's
um,
a reality of opening up a dojo is that
yeah,
someone might want to come and have an itch to be scratched.
well, outright challenge, no. But I do recognize, like in my, because part of the offering was I gave talks because like during the gallery exhibition, which was 11 weeks, every week there was at least one talk and one workshop. And so in the talks, the topics I talked about was like exploring the invisible, mastery through the mundane, the gems of martial arts, ancient wisdoms in modern times. And so I'm talking very martial. I'm talking about like stuff, foundational stuff of martial arts. And I even go into martial history. I actually show martial movements and then I tie it into how all this relates to living a good life and how this relates to you who is not interested in martial arts at all, right? And in the audience, there are other martial artists. You know, they see a martial artist here, they're like, I want to see what this guy's about. And this is actually a common scenario for me, is where I feel that they want to challenge me because it's like, oh, okay, in our modern time, right? Where that's the whole thing of like we test arts against each other, and there's some arts that are popular and there's some arts that are struggling because of the nature of our modern day living, right? But I'm able to meet them wherever they're at and I'm open and I demonstrate everything at the talk. And by then it's no longer a challenge. It's like, how can we work together? I want to train with you. Where do I sign up to come here? Because I want to see everything that you're talking about in my world, in my arts. I'm like, perfect. It's exactly what I like. It's my specialty.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for elaborating on that, Uncle. While I have you here, and because I lovingly call you Uncle, I want to shift gears a little bit and dive into the conversation of lineage a little bit,
Okay.
because it's a conversation that's come up quite a bit in my community, especially in this last year, because I recently went to a martial arts tournament in San Francisco. And it was an event that the organizers specifically chose to do it on a day that there was a wushu tournament. And they distinctly wanted to have it on the exact same day as the wushu so that the wushu people wouldn't come to the traditional thing. Because now there's a thing where all the modern athletic floor routines of wushu, they're winning all the competitions, and all the traditional arts, which may not be as flashy or fun to look at, they're slowly dying. And so here in San Francisco, rich with martial history and culture, there's a big conversation of preserving our traditions and our lineages. And so I went to this big competition the other year, and I just asked every single master the same thing. What's the value of tradition? What's the value of lineage? And then, just get the array of answers from all the old masters. Uh, but I say that to say this: it kickstarted a really strong conversation of lineage. And here I am, lineage inheritor, trying to kickstart something in Wudong, from Wudong here in the Bay. And yeah, lineage.
Yeah, lineage. This is a spicy topic and I love it. I love this. And there's as we engage this, I want to make something clear from the very beginning that there's the overarching thoughts and insights around lineage, and then there's my personal thoughts and insights about my lineage and like my arts and lineage, my path.
Mhm.
And I'll be jumping back and forth between these because it's like this is very key in understanding where I'm coming from.
Mhm.
Okay, so to start is lineage is important. I'm going to say that lineage is important. Um, Anybody that embarks on a cultivation path, there's no way a human being, or you know what? Let me back up. There's no way a human being can survive by themselves. A human being needs other things. Maybe not as maybe when I say things, I don't only say people. Like we need oxygen, we need food, right? So it's like we need things outside of our body. And when we start looking at it like this, it's like, oh, we also need people. Like we needed two people in order for us to enter this life, right? So it's like we need others. And so just that characteristic of a human being shows that lineage is important. So then that's where the um, the component of lineage. So lineage is a component of a human being. So lineage is not just is not something that you are gifted. It's something that you're a part of, right? And so it's like then there are distinctions where it's like, okay, we enter a school, we enter an organization, then we are initiated further into specific lineages, right? Lineage of school, lineage of family, like different, what am I trying to say? You don't get initiated to family, you're just born into family. But then even within family, there are sub groups, if you will, right? If you're royalty, you become the heir to the throne, like that kind of deal. For more common people, it's like you become the next head of the head of the next generation of family. So then these kinds of things, there's these rites of passage and initiation for these kinds of things. But anyway, my point being is that a human being needs others, needs other things. And so then that would be helpful in looking at lineage, whereas as opposed to lineage is something that's bestowed on me. And so then that part is under this context that I'm talking about, right? But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because like we are part of multiple lineages. And what I've said quite a bit recently is that the greatest gift that all my teachers have given me is freedom. It's like I was never tied to any culture or style. I was never obligated in any way to perpetuate anything. And, like it's only in my later years that I realized that that's the greatest gift that was ever given to me. Whereas because I have some contemporaries that are not like that, where they're bound to their system and they have to do things a certain way. And I'm not saying that that's bad, and I'm not saying that I'm better than them. I'm just saying that I'm different because previous versions of me desired that. It's like I wanted to be part of the 400-year lineage and passed down authentically one master to the other, one master to a student who becomes a master, so forth. I wanted to be part of all of that, and I wanted to um, have something bestowed on me. And this is me wanting to feel special, right? This is part of my journey of finding myself. But what ended up happening was my teachers were geniuses. And so when I look at my teachers, I I'm not sure if it's by design or by fate. And what I mean by this is that I don't know if they planned this out, if they had this grand plan of how they trained me, what they shared with me, and how they did it, or did was it a product of our relationship and our commitment to each other, and then things unfolded the way it did. And so, having said that, it's like we're part of a lot of lineages, and like going through my path, it was like there was a portion of the time where I was trying to lean on it because I didn't feel stable. Like I wanted to lean on something to kind of build myself up. And but it wasn't designed that way. It was and so that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't know if it was design or it was just fate, right? Because now I I love where I am. I'm able to share the things that I share in the way that I do. And I have a variety of ways to do it where that can still be traditional to where it's like if you want to learn Bagua, I will teach you Bagua, but there's a series of gates to go through before we even get to the Bagua stuff. And that's all by my design, right? And so where I'm at is that lineage, I do not push any particular culture or style. It is my standpoint that that is not my responsibility. My responsibility is to empower people so that they have the tools to find their way and to find their way of mastery. And whether it's martial arts or any type of martial art or any cult, that's on them. It's not for me to say, oh, it has to be Bagua or it has to be this style of swordsmanship or it has to be this style of meditation. No, here are tools to help you understand what a human being is. And then here, understand these principles so that you can know more about these tools. And then you can go out and explore and live your life and find your way, find the things that make you you, that make you more you, that open your heart, that vitalize you, and keep doing that and share all of the fruits of your labor with others and help others do the same that you did. And by that, I mean, they don't need to do your way. What I'm saying is help others to be themselves and to be full of vitality and to be happy and to live their life. And so it could be completely, their methods could be completely different than yours, but they're living their best life. They're happy. Their hearts are open. They're contributing to their environments, like all of that. That's the point. And so this is where it gets complex because when we start talking about tradition, right? We start talking about tradition. This is where I say the way I say this is like um, the focus of my work is the individual, and like I said, the individual cannot exist without others, and it takes a lot to really to enable an individual to actualize themselves. It takes a lot. And when that happens, the person that attains something becomes a reference for everybody that supported that person. And at the same time, that person realizes that they could not have attained this thing without everybody else. Right. And then so then there's a new type of relationship that exists. And so to dive in into it's like, okay, we have a martial arts school and there's all these forms and these traditions, and it's like, what um is that important? Absolutely. But then my question immediately goes into when's the last time it evolved? When was the last evolution of it? Or is this a form of Jurassic Park where we just have the mosquito and the amber and we're just like passing that along and we're like saying that this is this is valuable. And so then the new way then becomes the way to hold and honor that stone. It's not about the thing inside the stone anymore. It's about all the ways of carrying and presenting and honoring that stone. Right. And so for me, I'm always quite I'm constantly questioning. I pose questions of evolution. Well, what is the next evolution? When was the last time things evolved? And where is it evolving to? Right. And so to simplify this, so it's not so heavy, and I get it. It's like I want to be clear, I'm not out to break anybody's world, and I'm not talking down on any culture or styles, because they're all wonderful, right? The way I say it is, okay, we all as individuals have a body of knowledge. We all have wisdom, some kind of wisdom. Whether we're aware of it or not, we all have some kind of wisdom. So for those of us who know, who have cultivated something that we can consciously share, my question is, what are you able to share your things outside of language, or is language the only way that you can share it? Because if language is the only way you can share it, to me, that's so narrow. That means people have to speak my language, right? And so it's like the work goes into how many ways can I express this one thing so that it can be shared in with as many people as possible. So then you start chipping away at that. It's like, oh, is the thing that I'm sharing only for martial artists? So people, so then we start, you start examining what are all the prerequisites to receive what I'm offering. And I would like the prerequisite to be human and willing to connect. And that's it. You don't need to speak my language. You don't need to know my name. You don't need to be into martial arts. You don't need any of that stuff. And I can fully transmit the thing that I worked on. And so you look at it like that, right? And so you can take that principle and apply it to lineage. How is lineage passed on? How is traditions passed on? Is it based on what are the prerequisites for this? And what is the point of it? Right? It's like if the point is to connect, so another example would be um, don't confuse the method and the result. Method and result, that's a distinction. Those are two different things. So example would be, let's say the point of everything is to communicate, right? To communicate. And look, we're communicating now through Zoom. Yes. Zoom didn't always exist, right? When we were growing up, it was a landline rotary phone. Do we still use rotary phones to communicate like this? No, but we're able to communicate. So method changes, but then the point of it remains the same. So as we evolve, the different ways to communicate evolve as well, but it facilitates communication. Rotary phone facilitated communication, pagers facilitated communication, cell phones facilitated communication, Zoom facilitates communication, right? So it's like the point is the same, but all the methods changed accordingly. So don't get confused between the point of it and the method through which you're achieving that point.
Wow. This is a fun conversation on lineage. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate the Jurassic Park mosquito and amber analogy. Uh, we we would call that martial historians, you know, and
Yes.
that's a challenging question. When was the last time your art has evolved? Because many traditional styles arguably have not in the last 50 to 100 years.
Yeah, no, like if I can, like I would like to say something that's not easy to hear.
Mhm.
And this is targeted, this is meant for to be received as an individual. This is a good check into your practice. If you really want to attain skill and really, really know yourself, then the question you should ask is that is any part of me escaping into my lineage? Am I leaning on that because I don't know or don't want to? I don't know how to or don't want to cultivate a part of myself. Or there's something about myself that is very difficult for me to engage with. And so therefore I displace that into lineage. So uh, I'm not saying that all cultural preservation and lineage preservation is this. What I am saying is that some of it is. Some of it is uh, some cultural and lineage preservation is the very thing that's holding the individual back from truly growing.
For sure. Yeah, the echo chamber is real.
Yeah. And so another way to engage this is in terms of uh, how you share your knowledge, right? Like how you share your knowledge. And so the red flag should be my teacher says this book says this, always referencing something. And it's like, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear you. I can Google all of that. I cannot Google your thoughts anymore. I cannot Google your first person experience. So it's like, okay, that's what your teacher said. What did you do with it? And what is your insight based on that? That's what I want to know. That's 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 your contribution to the lineage. Because if it's a constant, my teacher said this, my teacher said that, this book said this, and it's always someone else or something else speaking, then it's never you. Then you're not, you're simply you're
Parrot.
simply holding the book up this way, which is not bad. But like if you really want to contribute to your lineage, you need to include your lived first person experience.
Mm, beautiful. I like that image of holding the book out instead of learning and embodying and digesting the genius. Thank you for that. Mm. Another idea about this lineage bit is kind of I hear you in that all too often lineage is honoring ashes as opposed to kind of fostering a flame forward or stewarding a system.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, the lineage
Yes.
isn't honoring the ashes, it's
Yes, correct.
the flame.
The way how I guide people to explore lineage, because like lineage can be through school or family or workplace, community, state, like there's so many, right? The way I encourage people to gain their personal insights into this is approach it from this inquiry. What are you a part of? That's it. That's it. Just keep it that simple. What are you a part of? I'm part of a family. I'm part of a country. I'm part of a workplace. I'm part of nature. And so it's like, what are you a part of? And what does that relationship look like? Right? What do you get from it, and what do you contribute to it? What does that look like? And when you start exploring things like that, then a lot of things change. So it's like we can go to martial arts. It's like, what is your relationship with your art? So never mind your school. I'm saying your art. What is the relationship with your art? What do you get from it? Okay. What have you given it? What kinds of things have you contributed to that? And you start looking at things like that, it changes, because then it's not just looking to the past. It's like as you contribute, that's what's bringing it forward, right? So this is how things don't get fossilized. This is lineages need to be alive. At least that's my point of view. It's like lineages need to be alive. We are alive. We're part of a lineage. We are the lineage. We are the representatives of lineage. We are alive. We are alive. So it's like share that life, share that vitality,
Mhm.
and for a certain purpose, right? Like what? What? For me, it's well-being. I'm all about let's be well. I don't care how many forms you know. I don't care how many people you've tapped out or knocked out. I don't care about any of that if you're not well. Of course, there's a point in time where it's like, okay, as a martial artist, it's like if you say you're a martial artist, then there's a point where it has to be martial. There's a point where that enters, but that's moving further and further down the line where it's like, well, how does engaging this improve the quality of your life outside the context of this?
Mhm. Mm, beautiful, man.
Or something like that. I don't know. It's like I'm not saying I'm right or wrong or anything like that. I'm simply sharing some insights, and these kinds of insights bring me to places like this. That's what I'm saying.
Well, uh, shifting gears then, I'm really interested in exploring water dragon with you because we recently had a water dragon moon, and as such, I chose to share water dragon with my lineage inheritors. I didn't teach it openly publicly. I don't know if I ever will. It's too special and precious to me. However, I did have a number of really close students over to receive it, and I would love to know more because Bruce didn't really teach me much outside of how to use it. And the context in which I learned it was, hey, go to the corner and calm down while I deal with this new student, right? Don't scare away my new students. Go over there and do something by yourselves. That's how I learned Water Dragon was. That was too hot and too I'd hurt new students. Not that I was, aggressive, but I just had no control, right? And so he'd have me stand in the corner to do Water Dragon to calm and temper my aggression and my jumpiness. At any rate, all I have is that and practice. And I'd share a little bit with Grandpa, and Chris would talk about the energetics of it. But I'm really just looking for any and all insight I can find on the forum because it's just so fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm. What do you like about the form?
Well, I like that it's the very first thing I've ever learned in terms of a martial choreography. And despite being a choreography, every phase of my evolution of a martial artist, I go back to that choreography. And the new thing that I learned or the new revelation that I have, I look back at Water Dragon and realize that it's been there all along, waiting for me to look at it. And so Water Dragon has kind of been this goalpost, this landmark, this standard of sorts that I can constantly reflect on and assess the extent of my evolution from.
Okay.
And so that's what Water Dragon is to me.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. The reason why I asked this is because one of the things that needs to be addressed when we start talking about forms is that is like, what do you like about it? Because then the next thing is, in your world and to you, from your perspective, what, not Water Dragon itself, but what are forms for? What does that, what function does that serve within the martial training?
Hmm.
That's one thing that needs to be addressed. And one of the answers is like, oh, it's to help you fight, right? It's to help you know movements and to help you recognize patterns, and so that when you enter combat, you can execute these movements and you stand a chance at survival, right? But the the common thing, and this is firsthand experience as well as looking at videos online and everything like that. And it's like there's all these beautiful forms, beautiful movements, all beautiful. And then as soon as contact happens, none of that is seen. It's out the door. Right. And so then it's like, okay, is it? And so then this answer, this conversation will actually tie into our previous topic of lineage and tradition. Right. So then you ask, what are these forms for? Because once we start fighting, I'll use that word. Once we engage, it's not gonna look like that. Right? Because the premise behind human interaction is it can never be choreographed. Every human interaction is unique, right? There's no repeat, right? So it's like you can't pre-choreograph anything. Like in any, like in any human interaction, you can plan out a conversation, you can plan out an interview, but then until that engagement happens and then it gets woven, you're not gonna know the thing until the thing is the thing, right? Okay. So same thing with forms. So it's like, okay, doing all these forms, and it's like, if you have the premise that this is for fighting, like, okay, How? How is it for fighting? Show me. How is it for fighting? You have a form that makes you face four different directions, but you have one opponent right here. How's that for fighting? Right? And so one perspective on this is that forms are for fighting, but not what you think. Like the diligent practice of forms is actually not for anything outside of your body. It's actually for you. It's actually for you, where you need to practice these forms under different states, meaning when you're hungry, when you're tired, when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're depressed, when you're happy, when you're full. You need to practice these forms so that you start to have a database, a conscious database of the way these movements feel under all of these different circumstances. Then another level is you take the same form and you see what this form does to these states. I started off angry, but when I was finished, I was calm. Or I started off happy, but then when I finished, I was happier. Right. And so you start to examine it's all to see yourself. It's never to do something to anything outside of you, whether it's dominate another human being or impose onto your environment. The
Agreed.
form is to enable you to be in a state that is fully you. And so the
Mhm.
reason why I asked, what do you like about Water Dragon? Is because then that gives me all that information. And what did you say? One of the key things is like, well, it's the first thing that I learned. And so right then and there, that shows that there's an anchor, there's a bit of your being that's anchored to the beginning of your journey. That's what that represents. So then that tells me that it's not Water Dragon. It's about that point of your journey. So it could have been something, it could have been single palm, it could have been a karate form, and then it'll have the same impact now. So it shows me that it's not the water dragon form itself, it's you and where your journey, where you were at the time, and then that entered your life, and then that became an anchor. The next thing that comes up is that notion of an anchor, where you said, no matter what I learn, everything, as I evolve and everything, this becomes a thing that I come back to. So it's a form of an anchor. And this is another characteristic that's important because you need something to carry your growth. Otherwise, it's just ether, it's just all over the place. But you start getting insight from any field, and you gain an insight, you have a nice scale environment to play in and understand more deeply that insight that you gained in the outside world. And so by just by your answer, I'm seeing these. I'm seeing these things where it's like it's not about, yeah, the form is great and like the rolling movements, and we can go into why it's called water dragon and its origins and everything like that. But like it's so mystical, right? But for me, everything that we do needs to be personal, needs to be so personal. And so that to me, you've communicate that because you're like, I don't openly teach this because it's so sacred to me. But then I'm like, okay, tell me why. And what did you say? It's the first thing that I learned. And when you speak of it, I can see that you go back to that time, and there's something about that time that is very special to you. And I'm guessing is because that was a transformation point to everything that you are now. It came from that time. And so then that by saying that, that's honoring lineage.
Damn, did you just psychoanalyze me? Because that was the turning point. That was where I realized I didn't want to hustle. I wanted to do Kung Fu and make it my life. And Water Dragon was the impactful thing that I learned in that phase of my life. Accurate.
Yeah.
Mm.
So then now, so the insight now, because you asked me a question, you asked me insight on the form. So it's like that's bringing up to why why you're even interested in this form. Now it's like to get to the answer of the questions you asked me, can you give me some insights on this form to go forward, right? Because you're looking for more insight so that you can have this form grow. So now that you have this context of why this is important to you, now you can engage this form in a way of pouring yourself into it in terms of like your sincerity, like everything that you are now. You do the form with the fullness of uh, who and what you are now, and it becomes a vessel through which you can fully express anything and everything. So you start to express your gratitude through by you doing the form, and allow the deepest gratitude and sincerity to come through you, from you, through you, beyond you. That's how you honor lineage, because you're not only honoring those that develop the form, and we don't even know who originated the form. So let's just start there, right? The other thing, at the very least, you are honoring the lineage of you, meaning that previous version that made a decision that you don't want to hustle anymore. Now you can connect to that personal lineage, and you are expressing this gratitude to that person, that version of you that made that decision that led to your life now. And that's living lineage. That's how you affect things.
Mm, mm. Water dragon. Thank you.
Yeah, because I mean, if we can go into the dissect the form of like the directions, how many movements here, breathing patterns and rolling patterns, and size of frame, and like just all of that. And yes, that's great. It's
Mhm.
nice, but that ain't personal.
Word. And water dragon absolutely is a very, very personal form for me.
Yeah, and that's the form that brought us together. That's how we met.
Someone had to say it.
That's how we met, right? So it's like it does hold a space for me as well. It holds a special place in my heart as well. Like these days when people ask me what does my practice look like, and they ask me how many forms do I know, I'm like, oh, that's a lot. I know a lot of forms. Can I still execute them? Most of them. Some it will take me a while, and give me some time, I can resurrect it. And like there I have a set that I can readily execute. Then I have a deeper set that like this is the essence of everything that I know. And then that's what so then there's um there's things that I practice to sharpen my skills. Right. And then that I've identified that these things is what contains the core of all my skills. And so this is the thing that without fail I will do this. Right. And then there's things that are fun to do, right? Like I need variety, right? So it's like I pull those out, and then those are like, oh, okay. It's like I do this, and but then I'm not gonna do that every day. But then when I do it, I do remember the time when I learned it, and it brings me to that time, and it brings me to a different state, and then I'm able to connect with that part of my timeline. And there's things that can happen when we do that.
Wow. It's been said that when our time comes, our life flashes before our eyes. We kind of just now, as we're connecting in this conversation and relating to this shared practice, I almost went through a whole "this is your life"
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
with
and
like Water Dragon.
yeah, and that's what the form can do. So when you do the form, your entire life is present,
Yeah.
and you can extract from that, and then that becomes there becomes a type of communication that is activated. There's a communication line that's activated within yourself. So you're communicating to a previous version of yourself. So it's like, and at the same time, clearly that previous version of yourself contributed to this version, because without that previous version, we wouldn't know this form. But by practicing the form the way we do now and understanding it the way we do now, we're able to communicate back. And so during that time, we can recall the things we were struggling with, all the discomforts that we were going through. And while we're doing the form, we exude all the things that that version needs. And so it's almost like a time machine. And then we're able to surround that version with the things that are needed to excel.
Fucking Ray, man. This touches me in a really, really special way because I can understand this concept. Like now that I'm a father, I get to be the dad that I didn't have type deal, right? And so now that we're in a transformed state through practice, I can look back at my evolution and be what I needed then through this. And so this lands very, very heavy for me because there's also the other end of it, if I may be vulnerable and share that specifically Bagua. Now, as I look at the circle behind you, circle walking, Bagua circle walking specifically, I have a really hard time revisiting that practice, specifically because it got me through such a difficult time in my life. And it's hard for me to revisit that practice without having some degree of a charge around. And so, avoid it, don't do it, busy myself with other things. There's another million reasons why I'm not doing Bagua right now. However, that is a specific practice. Circle walking is specifically that has a big trauma associated with it.
Mm,
And so this conversation is uh, I'm receiving it as a challenge within myself to walk that
mm,
circle again.
mm. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. That's part of that's the for me that's been my message is that
Mm.
kindness to oneself is very important. And so then this is how we can there's many ways to do that, and this is one of them where if I can share one of my kindness practices. And so one of my kindness practices is to go back through the timeline of one's life as far back as we can go. So my earliest memory is 3 years old. I'm trying to get to two, cannot. Even if I'm looking at pictures and whatnot, I can't. So 3 years old. And so from 3 years old forward. So I typically go every year and like, what is the defining thing? What is a memory from that year? And it doesn't have to be crazy. It's just like, okay, 4 year old, you have a 4 year old memory, 5 year old, all the way to now. And comfortable, uncomfortable, profound, or mundane, irrelevant. It's just, is there a memory? Every unbroken from earliest to now. Okay, great. If there's not, that's fine too. Okay, you can do decades or you can do 5 years, whatever, but then you have a stream, right? So you look at all these previous versions of yourself and you contemplate what kinds of things did you need then? What kinds of things were you seeking? What kinds of things would have made you feel safe and loved and full of vitality? Right? What kinds of things? What would it have looked like? And so this is where it has to be like very specific. Like, oh, like if someone just walked with me from my house to the store, that would have done a lot. So like very specific to that version, as opposed to altruistic, where it's like, oh, more love, more kindness, like not like that. Like for specific versions, like, oh, it would have been cool if like I had more study partners, right? Like it's like it would be nice if like, oh, if uh someone asked me key questions because then that's what would have made me open up and so it's like very specific to each time. Okay, examine that. Then you look at each version, and so you don't have to do each one, but you can pick. I recommend looking at the version that's cringy. Like we have some cringy stuff, right? So you look at the cringy stuff.
I'm
Get
still
those
going through
cringy.
mine.
What's that?
I'm still going through my cringe
Yeah.
evolution.
So you go cringy stuff. You go cringy versions, right?
Uh,
And the inquiry is, can you express kindness to that version? What does kindness to that version of you look like? And without any condition, without any change, as is. So no, none of this. Oh, if we change this action, then no, 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 no. Nothing changes then. But like from this point, what does kindness look like being expressed to that person, to that version? What does it look like? And go through it, meaning like, oh, I would say these things. I would make this tea. I would I would take that version of me to this place. So it's not altruistic. It's actionable. Like I would have a meal with this person, or I would watch a movie with this person, or I would go for a drive with this person, or I would buy this person a gift. I would I would throw a party for this person, whatever. But then that's how this version would express kindness to that version as is. Okay. Up to there is very powerful. That's very powerful already. If you want to challenge yourself, next thing is ask yourself, is your identity needed for you to express kindness to that version? Meaning, do you need to know that that version is you in order for this kindness to be expressed? Of course, we want to say no. Of course, no, of course not. But you got to be. This is also an exercise in sincerity because you got to be sincere to yourself. Like, ooh, maybe, and it's okay. There's no right. There's no wrong. Everything's okay. It's just being sincere with yourself. But then when you examine this, and like, okay, that cringe version, what made it cringe? Oh, because I was struggling with this, or da 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 da. What like I wanted acceptance. I was deficient in this, or like I was whatever. Was trying to get someone's attention, all this kind of stuff. I was trying to fit in, all that kind of stuff. Right? You start to see the things, the components of that version. So if you can get yourself to release the identity, that means that you can express kindness now. When you see people trying to fit in, you're like, hey, I know that. I recognize that. You express kindness to that. Oh, I see, like, person trying too hard because whatever. I know that. I know that very well. So you express kindness to that, and you have actionable things to express kindness to that. And that's how you cultivate kindness, right? And then you take that into your forms and everything like that. I mean, everything just gets stacked, keeps getting stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked. And then that's how your water dragons can become your water dragon. And then at the same time, it's like, you have a future ahead of you. You have a family, you have kids. So the water dragon form will make you more you. So it's not only going back, it's also going forward. right? Because you're harnessing everything about yourself when you're doing that form, everything from conscious past to now, harnessing, you're expressing from now to all of versions of you in the past. So you're learning to harness things. And from that, when you harness things and you're in that state, that's the state you moving forward to. That becomes the full and the best you can ever happen. Then the other thing is you do this practice. You do this practice, but you doing going back and expressing kindness to every version of yourself, that means that a future version of yourself is doing that to you now. So then now it opens the practice of like, how do I receive things that are around me? Because a future version of me has surrounded me with everything that I need. So how do I receive
Dang.
all of this? How do I receive the things that a future me has surrounded me with? What does that look like?
Wow, bro. I wasn't ready for that one. Wow, fucking
Yeah,
Ray.
this is lineage. This is lineage. And this is tradition. This is personal lineage and personal tradition. The personal lineage of you, every version of yourself, not only looking back, but looking forward. So forward, you don't know, you cannot, you could see going back, you can't see going forward. But because you're able to look back, that means a future version of you is looking back on you now and is doing the exact same thing that you're doing now. So that means that everything that you need is around you. Now, now the work is, how do I receive this? So that now you're communicating with future versions of yourself to say, man, make this more obvious, please, because I know you're doing it.
When I was 20 years old, Bruce Chu taught me to vision my highest self and call him Sifu and do what he says. And it was cool when I was 20. You know, I had like this Pai Mei, white eyebrow looking guy. Here I am taking that shape and form, but to get same but different teaching now, 25 years later.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So yeah, that thing, it's like people get blown by like, oh, the whole release the identity thing, and it's like, oh my God, because then that brings everything to now, right? Where you see all versions of yourself now in like different characteristics, and so you're able to express that. People typically get blown away then. If you really think about like receiving from future you, that's nuts, because it's like you cannot see that. You don't know. No matter how you visualize, that's not the future. There's no way you can visualize that. You don't know what's in the future. You don't know. And so it's like, but what you do know is whatever version is beyond here, it's doing the same thing you're doing now to the previous. So then it's like one of the exercises to go back is, okay, that version of you, you gotta be honest. It's like, how how do things need to be presented in order for you to receive it? Because I'll tell you this right now, you try to teach me something in my 20s, you can't teach me anything because I knew everything. You can't teach me anything. So it's like this is where you got to be honest and sincere with yourself to really think, how how do things enter, how what does it need to look, what is the shape that in circumstance that it needs to be in order for me to be open to this and to receive this, right? And so me saying all this is why Water Dragon's so special to you, because at that point of your life, somehow, some way, you were open and you received that. And it impacted you. And it is so deep. That's why you're saying it's so sacred, because that version of you, somehow, some way, was open to that form at that time. And you let it in. And that led you to where you are now.
Supposed to be interview about you, dude. I'm supposed to be interviewing you. podcast, Uncle.
Just
You.
I'm a mirror. I'm a mirror.
Well, how about this? We did set a time frame. My computer is telling me it's about to die.
Okay.
Uh, I want to talk to you again because I still want to talk to you about Tengu. I want to talk about Thunder God. I want to talk to you about, and we kind of brushed on it here, of taking something simple, but then going into the realm of woo-woo and untangible and bridging that gap.
Oh, I would love to. I would
Like,
love to. I
these are
would
the
love to.
conversations I love having with you. And
Yeah, yeah, I would love to. And yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's like it winds, right? Because like these are like you say something and I feel something like, oh man, I like I'm so passionate about
yeah.
things, these kinds of things, especially with the people that I care about, right? I'm like, and like I'm not instructing you. I'm not like preaching to you. This is like the feeling that I have is like I'm talking to myself. Like these are the kinds of things that I would have wanted to hear.
Mm, mm. And here I am on the receiving end of being psychoanalyzed and getting therapy and homework.
But this is our training. This is our training.
Hey, this is Kung Fu. What you thought Kung Fu? What'd you think?
This is like what? You don't train like this? Then like what have you been doing? It's like this is not your training? It's like what? What have you been doing then? Like you this level of detail is not in the movements? Like what? What are you doing then?
Well, Uncle, perhaps let's chat again when this dojo wraps up at the end of summer,
Sure.
and
Anytime.
we'll come back and revisit these topics. And by then, I'll be a daddy again, and
Yeah, yeah,
lots going on.
yeah. I love it.
And I
This
love
is
you.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle.
Thank you for having me.